Before we begin, I want you to do something with me, just for a moment. Pause. Not the kind of pause where you're still thinking about what's next. Not the kind where you're halfway listening while doing something else. A real pause. Because what we're about to step into today is not something you can think your way through. It's something you have to feel your way into. There's a conversation happening inside of you right now. And I don't mean the constant stream of thoughts, the surface level chatter that fills your mind throughout the day. I mean something deeper, quieter, more honest. You felt it in those moments when everything else gets still, when the noise fades just enough and something inside of you speaks. Not loudly, not forcefully, but clearly. Maybe it comes through as a question. Is this really what I want? Maybe it comes through as a feeling, something just slightly off, something you can't quite explain. Or maybe it comes through as a knowing, a quiet, steady knowing that something in your life is asking to change, to shift, to be seen. And yet, how often do we actually sit down with that conversation? Not often, because sitting with it requires something most of us have been conditioned to avoid. Honesty. Not the kind of honesty we show the world, not the curated version, not the one that sounds good or feels safe, but the kind of honesty that has no filter, the kind that says, this isn't working. I'm not happy here. I know what I need to do and I'm scared to do it. That conversation is the one we tend to walk away from. And it's not because we're weak. It's not because we don't care. It's because we understand on some level that if we truly listened, something will have to change. Because real listening isn't passive. Real listening asks something of you. It asks you to let go of what you've outgrown. It asks you to question what you've been tolerating. It asks you to step into a version of yourself that you may not fully recognize yet. And that can feel uncomfortable, uncertain, even overwhelming. But here's what I want you to understand. That conversation inside of you is not here to break you. It's there to bring you back to yourself. It's the part of you that hasn't forgotten, the part of you that still knows what alignment feels like, the part of you that can feel the difference between living in truth and living in compromise. And it's been waiting patiently, not demanding, not forcing, just waiting. Waiting through the distractions, waiting through the busy days, waiting through the moments where you almost listened, but chose something else instead. How long has it been waiting? Days? Months? Years? Because for some of you, this isn't a new conversation. It's one you've heard before many times. And each time you walk away from it, it doesn't disappear. It just finds another way to show up. In your restlessness, in your frustration, in that quiet feeling that something isn't quite right, even when everything looks like it should be. But here's the part that changes everything. You don't need to have all the answers to begin that conversation. You don't need a plan. You don't need certainty. You don't need to know exactly what comes next. All you need is the willingness to stop avoiding it, to sit down, to be present, to listen without immediately trying to fix, solve, or escape. What happens if, just for today, you allow that conversation to unfold? Without interruption, without judgment, without rushing to the end. Because the moment you do that, something shifts. Not because your entire life changes overnight, but because you've reconnected with the one place where real change actually begins. And this is where I want to invite you beyond yourself, because this journey isn't meant to be walked in isolation. So I want to hear from you. Not the perfect answer, not the filtered version. What is the conversation you've been avoiding? What is the truth that has been sitting there waiting for you to finally acknowledge it? And if you're ready to go deeper into that, to explore not just the question, but what it means for your life, I created something for you. It's called Life, What's the Point? Because at the core of that question is this exact moment, this exact conversation. Step into it by clicking the link in the show notes. You don't need to force clarity. You don't need to chase something outside of yourself. You just need to be willing to finally listen to what's already been speaking. And when you do, you'll realize it's been guiding you all along.